Good evening, Greg here, burning both ends, burning on the back end of a Sunday of Mother's Day. It is 10:10 p.m. Pacific, and May 13th, 2018. So we had a great day, celebrated my wife, celebrated my mom. My mom's across the country in South Carolina, but we spoke, and we did some brunch with the missus and the kids, cooked some dinner. She was able to break away for a bit and get a mani-pedi, so that was wonderful for her. And now we're just winding up the evening, getting ready for burning on the back end here, get a little bit of work done. I have some drawings to get ready for work tomorrow, so that'll be very important work to do, just to that way when I come in fresh Monday morning, I already have that in my back pocket. Good way to get ahead a little bit. Have a short week this week, flying to New York City on Thursday to celebrate my dad's birthday. My dad turned 75 this year. His birthday was back in February, but my brother and myself are taking him to New York City for a fun weekend. He grew up in New York City, so should be great to get back there and spend some time with my brother and my dad. So that should be awesome. And so tonight's topic, let's get right into it. Two very interesting topics that I think go together very well. Even though it might not seem that way. And so these topics are empathy and accountability. And so empathy is an outward action toward others. It is done by making a connection with another person's feelings. And accountability is really an inward action towards myself. And this is, in my opinion, this is necessary for a team to be successful because it reduces resentment. That way, everyone's pulling their own weight and everyone knows it. And also, really to practice accountability properly, there is a big piece of vulnerability in there because we all make mistakes, we all miss deadlines accidentally, and so admitting that, being vulnerable, I think that's important for a connection. And that just makes a team strong. And so, and also something that I need to work on as a personal thing is I tend to blame other people or external things when things don't go right. And I'm working on stopping that blame. And what I learned, and so I linked a talk by Brene Brown below. Actually, there are two. There's one on empathy, one on power of vulnerability. I think I had linked the power of vulnerability before, but essentially what she says is that blame is a way to discharge pain and discomfort, which is true because it's I'm uncomfortable that the project is working out in this way, and so so I need to find fault. And it's so much easier to find an external fault because I can see it. It's a lot more difficult to look in the mirror and go, okay, what should I have done to help reduce these problems, or what could I have done if I did it, a second time? What would I do? It's a lot harder to look in the mirror, and so that's where I am. That's what I'm working on. That is something I am actively doing right now. And I have to say it's working, because it's more powerful for me. It's a very weak place to come and blame, to come out and blame things. Very weak. So and then on the accountability side, this is just my own inner game. I've learned that nobody really wants to be held accountable. People might say that they do, but only in very specific circumstances does it actually work that way. And in a typical work environment, they really don't. And what I find is critical is creating a culture where self-accountability is the norm. That's the key. And typically, what I'll do is I'll do that by leading with action. I like to take action. And admitting mistakes when I make mistakes. Hey, sorry I didn't get that to you by a certain date. And being proactive about it, not waiting for that person to come to me, but jumping out in front and saying, hey, I was supposed to get this to you today, and I'm not going to. And this is also where the whole deadline situation comes in. I'm big on deadlines because this really helps me prioritize if I understand the deadlines, and therefore I can be self-accountable and get you what you need. So if you really don't need it by tomorrow and I can have an extra 2 days for it, I'd like to know that so I can, sequence my tasks appropriately to do my best to get people what they need when they need it. So, but back to the empathy thing. So definitely watch that video, that empathy one by Brene Brown. It's fantastic. It's very short, like 3 minutes or something. And essentially it's, putting myself in someone else's situation by relating to the feelings of that person. And I typically would kind of need help and ask, well, how does this make you feel? And that way I get the person telling me specifically how they feel, and then I take that feeling and I try to recall the last time I felt that way in my own life, and that just helps me relate. And the other thing that Brene Brown says is, avoid the silver lining comment. Typically I like to get in a solution, I like to solve problems. So during empathy, I want to avoid solving problems. I just want to kind of be in the problem with the person, kind of occupy that space with them, feel that crummy feeling with them, and then that creates the connection. And then Simon Sinek also has some great information on empathy. There's a YouTube video also linked in the description and the outline. And I want to give a big shout out to Sharon at Simon Sinek Inc. For all the emails and advice. So when I got this wonderful book, Together is Better, I think I've showed it to you. Is that focusing on that thing? Not really sure if you can see it, but it's called Together is Better. It's a small book. It's illustrated. It's got very little text in it, but very powerful text at the same time. I love this book. This is a fantastic book. And so I started reading this, and then I got into an email conversation with Simon Sinek Inc., and Sharon was one of the people that got back to me, and she showed me these Brene Brown videos. So huge shout out to her. I really appreciate the emails and the wisdom. And the cool thing is that through her emails and me going off and doing this work, I was able to come up with some of my own conclusions, because I had this feeling before that empathy and accountability couldn't work together. And it was only through her wisdom, watching those videos, thinking about it for a while, that I was like, oh, okay, empathy is outward, accountability is inward. They can totally work together. In fact, they're just completely different things on some level. So thank you, Sharon. And then and then back to the accountability thing. I do think it's the cornerstone of getting things done. This is just, like I said, only in very specific circumstances can we hold others accountable, and that works. I think it's creating a culture of self-accountability where that's the normal thing to do. And then the last piece of this is the 5149 Gary Vaynerchuk concept. Love Gary V. Thank you very much once again for all the content, for all the tactics. Love him. And for all like the really big picture concepts like the 5149. So this really enables empathy and accountability, right? So the 51%, this is being of service, right? So I'm being of service. I want to create these connections. I create these connections with empathy. That's how it's done. It's rather simple, offering to help. Part of the empathy is offering to just be in that space, in that crummy feeling with that person. So, and then the 49% is focusing on myself and my own work. There's the accountability. That's a big piece to that. I keep up the drive, the hustle. Burning at both ends. You know how I roll. Get into action, admit mistakes, and then this helps the team feel empowered to do the same thing. Right. This removes the hesitancy. This removes the fear of I'm not sure if the team's gonna like this, or if my leader's gonna like me taking this risk. So this 49%, just keep the strive, keep the hustle, stay in action, be a practitioner, admit mistakes, be vulnerable there. That also creates connections with team members and helps them empower themselves to do the same thing. And I just think that that's incredibly these two things I think really make a strong team. We can empathize with each other. We can hold ourselves accountable. and we can just go out and just do incredible things together. And so yeah, so I'm gonna wrap there. So please subscribe, please join me on this journey, start your own journey. Comment below, ask questions. I'd love to help. If anything I can do to help, I would love to do it. And if you like the beats in the background, that's my alter ego, G Money. I've been drumming for quite some time, so I write these beats. If you dig the beats, check out, there's a link in the description. And then there are also a bunch of other motivational videos down in the description. Check them out, they're pretty cool. And yeah, so Sunday night, gotta get into some drawings, some engineering drawings. Should be pretty straightforward, but just some really good work to just get a little bit ahead in the morning. Always love doing that on Sunday, just doing a little extra mile on Sunday night to make the Monday morning kind of slip back into work a little bit a little smoother. So yeah, so y'all have a great night, and we'll see you in the AM.